All right, guys. Hey, what's going on? Hopefully everybody is having a fantastic beginning of the week, President's Day. As you can tell, I am actually working from home today because I have my children that are not going to school. So, if you are in the same scenario as I am, let's go ahead and have a conversation about production and where you are in your numbers. Because days like this are the days that I don't get just minutes, right? Nobody's coming up to me, hey, can I just have a minute? Can I have just a minute? So I'm able to focus on what I am doing, how I am doing it, when I am doing it, and all in between. So let's focus in really deep on that. Now, just as an overall awareness, I'm going to be using the Flex MLS system. That is the MLS that I personally use and that I know most of the people that listen and tune into this also use. So we're going to go ahead and use that today. Anyways, so as we go into this, I want to kind of scroll back a little bit. This weekend, my kids had a swim meet. They did phenomenally well. But one of the things that intrigued me is that as they jumped into the water, there were heats that had one or two people, and then there were heats that had eight people. When they had eight people, they were segmented by their times, their entry times, as to where they were in whatever lane. So if they were the top time, they usually rotated between lanes 4 and 5. Whereas if they were the slower times, they would be on the outside edge. Why is this? Well, statistically thinking, this is a basis that if you have competition pushing you, you are going to move faster. So when you're in the middle, you're going to see when other people are winning or losing, and this will push you harder. That is the concept that the swimming technique has. But in real estate, do we need to know where we are in order to know where we want to be? And the answer is, I think emphatically yes. So I do this on a regular basis. I know where I am. I know where I'm at in business. I know where I'm at in my production, my numeric numbers, all these details. Now, I use a separate database that allows me to drill down even deeper. This is called Sisu. I love it. It is sisu.co. You can check it out. It is a paid program, but I find it to be very relevant in the grand scheme of things because it allows me to trigger down how much money I'm making in one solution, how much money I'm making in another solution, but it also allows me to look at my listing production as an overall. But for today, as always, I'm going to try and give you a option that does not cost you initially, and that function is your own MLS. Once again, we are going to dive into the Flex MLS system because that is the one that we use. And as we go through this, guys, please make sure. Oh, sorry, we got infinity screen here. So in your Flex dashboard, you're going to open your dashboard here. You're going to scroll up into the top where it says menu, and I want you to just pull two production points. The first one is going to be my production. Click on this thing right here, or you can just type in my production on the top. The second one is going to be inventory and production. Now, all these things that operate under statistics, I love. The market summary is a great resource to identify information about what's going on in the market. Market trends show where things are happening, and rosters are great places to get information. So statistics is one of my favorite tool sets that is built into the Flex system. Now, as we go through, remember the first one I said is use my production. So that is going to show you this screen. Initially, it's going to give you a couple graphs that show you things like sales and listing activity by units. And then it's going to show you some other information at the bottom. I don't really like this report. I don't think it gives me the information that I know, except for this latter one right up to the top, where this shows that I'm 16 units down on year over year from last year. Now, that is a direct trigger to say, hey, listen, I need to go to the MLS and get some sales reported. Do not be hesitant to ask the other agent, the listing side agent, if you have a buyer side transaction, to put the information in MLS. MLS is a great tracking system to track our numbers and to keep us relevant, but it also helps with the system as an overall. We are a database in the MLS, and if that database is misconstrued by inaccurate information, that's going to actually set you up for failure. So make sure that you are reporting those sales if you're on the listing side, and if you're on the purchasing or buying side, make sure you're taking time to say, hey, please fill in my information. All right, so I don't like this view. I like personally the member year to date view because I think this gives you so much information about where you're at in your business to know where you can go with your business. So this is a great avenue. This talks about things like new listings, what your average list price. This was a great avenue to know where we're at in percentage change on actual sales price, right? So for instance, I have this year to date new listings 94. Last year I only had 52. I had a 42 percent change or a 42 unit change, but I had an 80% increase in listings. This is a great way to identify what's going to happen over the next 90 to 100 days. This is a great intercept into the fact of what is going to go on. Another great tool in this respect is your sold to list ratio. I'm selling at over list price today, whereas before I was selling at about list price. Another one that is huge, and this kind of shows the market, is your percentage change in your list and sales price, your median, your sales price, and your actual average list. I'm up about 8% year over year from last year. That's pretty substantial when you get down to the trigger of things. But remember, this is active listing information. What if I go down into the sold information? This is another place that I can see what's going on. So my median sold price operating from listed to sold only, and year to date. But if I go over here to this change, look at the difference in the average list price change. You are seeing an average price change and an average day on market that is substantial in the grand scheme because these things show us what market changes are happening. So great avenue for information. But remember, that's what your numbers are. And that only gives us one spectrum. So going back over into the Flex MLS, I'm going to use the next one, which is my inventory and production. Once I open that tab, it brings up this information. Now there's a bunch of informational points in here, and if you haven't had a chance, I'm not going to go over all of them because a lot of them are very robust. But this is great information. This actually can store your data for all the details. So the one that I'm going to go over today is called the saturation analysis. This one right here. I like this report. I think it shows us a true value of what's going on in the market, and it allows us to compare ourselves in general sense. And I apologize, I've been staring at you with no picture this entire time. Let me fix that real quick. All right. Now I got back. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know why I didn't have that camera hooked up. I'm out of the office, as I told you today. So I've been talking to you with all this information and you didn't even see my face. But nonetheless, information still stays the same. So we have this information that is here today. And I apologize. My phone is blowing up as the office is also closed today. With that, guys, the conversation is this. We have this information that's in the saturation or report generation concept. Now you'll notice at the top there is a big delineator here that you need to make sure that you're taking care of. This has all property types. I personally do not want residential lease in here because residential lease will usually take over when you're looking at things like units. So I'm going to take lease off of here. I'm going to leave everything else, multifamily, commercial, residential, or land. I'm going to leave everything else in here. Now, if I wanted to break this down to just new construction or non-new construction, that is another avenue that I could select here. And then I could also change this for any of the other details that are here. But I'm just going to leave it like it is. And I'm going to select the information as based on this information as it stands. When I select next, this is going to allow me, and I missed a button here. Go back here. I want market share right here, and I'm going to select next. Now this is going to say rank members, rank offices, rank companies and offices, and rank members in office. So if I wanted to look at a competitive nature, if I'm say trying to go over and beat somebody in my own office, I can look at that function. Or in my case, I want to see what everybody's doing. I want to see what everybody's seeing avenue for. So I'm going to click on rank members. When I select that, it's going to ask me if I want to do it by number of units or if I want to do it by dollar volume. If I want to select just sold, or if I want to look at who's being the best in consistency with new listings, or who is getting the most new active properties or has the most active properties. When I go down to that, I'm going to select listing members, selling members, or listing and selling members. Once I select that, I'm going to calculate numbers and volumes based on using sides. So I'm going to select, in this case, maximum number of entries. I'm going to select this at about 100 because I want to look at the top 100 agents in the marketplace. When I select that number, it's going to pull up all this information. So this is going to identify the fact that between last month and this month, because I didn't change my details, this is the top production. Now, if I go back here real quick and adjust this just a tad and go back one more, and I'm going to select a change here into, instead of, I'm going to go year over year. So I'm going to go January 1st through today. And then I'm going to select that same information, rank members. And then I'm going to select that same information here, press next. And now I have the full basis of everybody on production wise. So this is ranked by volume. And I can also rank this by transaction sides or something for that, whatever I want to actually run it by. And if you'll notice, I actually left one thing out of here. Close a couple of these tabs, getting a little messy here. I'm going to start back from fresh so you can watch me as I go through this. So inventory and production. I'm going to go to saturation analysis. I'm going to take off lease. I'm going to go down to the bottom here and I'm going to select year to date, which would put us at January 1st through February 21st. I'm going to select market share. I'm going to leave new construction in here, but if I wanted to, I could take new construction out. Once I go down to the bottom, I'm going to press next. I'm going to rank members, and I'm going to do by listing and selling members. I'm showing listing or selling members. If you do listing and selling members, this is just showing where there's cross sales. I'm going to do listing or selling members. So this is going to calculate everybody. It's going to look at the buyers, going to look at the listings. It's going to look at everybody. You could look at just people that are selling stuff. You could look at people that are just listing stuff. You can break this down to whatever fits you well. Once again, I'm going to put this at 100 units. And I am going to go by that. Let's see if that populates the right number. That is what I was looking for. So I have my number of sides, 41 units. I have all the way down through the top 100 realtors at 5 closed units. I have their volume. I have the average volume. I have the percentage of the entire market and the percentage of total volume. So this gives me a spectrum of what I'm looking for. Now, keep in mind, if I wanted to look at just people between certain production levels, I could do that in that production level as well. So say that I'm operating with a closer basis to about 25 or 30 units, but I want to scale up to about 40 or 45 units. We'll start paying attention to those people that are doing 40 and 45 units and start chasing them. Remember, this is that setting yourself up in the right lane. I watched specifically in that swim meet that I was talking about, a person that is super fast, but she was in a heat with only 3 members. Her time dropped by 6 seconds because she didn't have the competition that she needed to push her along. And a lot of times this happens, and COVID has been a product of this because it allows us not to be present in what's going on in the market. Always be present in what's going on in the market because this will make you successful. This will allow you to have something to scale towards. This does not mean that you are competing against them. This means that you are pushing yourself to achieve more than what they have. Now, I know some of you may say that's the same thing. In my opinion, you have to know where you want to go. You have to know where you are, and you have to know how to get there. And in my opinion, this is the best way to do that. Guys, I will leave you with one last thing, and this is another program that I personally pay for. So this is a great resource that allows me to look at data really quickly. So this is a market view broker. This is information that allows me to see a quick breakdown and a little more intuitive breakdown of the entire market. So I like this one as well because this can show me right away the last 12 months, or I can look at the last year to date. I can look at the last month and so on and so forth, but it allows me to quickly break that information down. I can do a trim on a volume. I can use a trim based on units. I can do all that in one simple space. So I really enjoy this. This is a great tool for me, but this does cost This also allows me to throw stuff into things like graphs and see where production is moving, and I can actually break down new construction, resale, and so on and so forth. But once again, not for everybody, only for a few of us that may actually like to look at that information. I am a data nerd, and I love that kind of stuff because it just makes me more intuitive on how I move forward. Guys, I am sitting at about 15 minutes, which I try to keep these under. So thank you for your time. If you have questions, if you are in a system that is not Flex MLS, reach out. I probably have dealt with them in the past. I've been on the MLS board, so I've seen a lot of other MLSs, and a lot of them have the same reporting functionalities. Some MLSs do restrict some of the reporting capabilities. If that is the case, speak out, ask questions, ask why are you restricting this information. I think that that data is ours as realtors that pay dues. So I think that you should definitely reach out and ask questions if they are restricting that information. I want to know all and everything about my listings. I want to know all and everything about the market. And I want to know all and everything about what's going on and where people are having success. This is a great tool and a resource to do so. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you for your time. We're at 16 minutes. Have a great rest of the President's Day. And if you ever need anything, please do not hesitate. Have a great day. See you guys later.